First and foremost, I watched the wrong game tonight. Dortmund 4, Juve 4. Yeah, long. We gotta admit when we're wrong sometimes. I watched the wrong game. But the game that I did watch, Real Madrid beat Marseille 2-1. Now, this was very much a game of two halves, as most are, right? But it was very much a game of two different halves. Because in the first half, Real Madrid were honestly so dominant in my opinion. They created so many chances. They went through on goal so many times. Rulli today was incredible over the entire 90 minutes, but really busy in the first half. And yet Madrid only went into the half actually drawing because surprisingly, Marseille took the lead in this game through Timothy Weah. A really poor loss of the ball from Arda Güler in the middle of the pitch. Weah allowed to run from one side of the field to the other, found through by Mason Greenwood and finishing past Courtois. But for the most part, I think Madrid were very, very comfortable in that first half. And it was actually some of the best football I've seen them play, in my opinion, up to this point in the competition. Mbappe looked so sharp. Rodrigo in particular, I thought had an incredible first half. He started ahead of Vinicius Jr. But, okay, they went into the half 1-1. The second half happened, and I think this is really the concern for Madrid. It's so night and day to the first. It's not like they were poor per se, right? But Marseille managed to get a foothold of the game. Really, they got a foothold of the game in the last 10 minutes of the first half, but they carried that into the second half, and it almost felt like Madrid just ran out of gas, to be honest with you. I don't know what it was, but the intensity kind of dropped. The possession wasn't as strong. Marseille started to get a hold of the game. Kondogbia in the middle, I thought, had a terrific showing, and it honestly felt at one point that it was actually going to be Marseille who grabbed the second goal. I know Madrid continued to probe, right? And when you have the attacking talent that they do in up front, they're always going to be in the game. But I really felt at one point the game got away from them. And then, for me, a really sour end to this game happened in the penalty. Let's call it what it is, guys. That is never, ever, ever a penalty. Ever. I am shocked that Medina gets penalized for that. Who was it that plays Vinicius through? Vinicius, kicks it, Medina tackles it, wins the tackle, and then the ball collides off his leg onto his hand, which is basically on the ground, and the referee calls a handball there. Guys, that's not a penalty. First and foremost, I'm pretty sure, does the rule not state that if the ball goes off your own body and then hits your hand, that's not a handball? Isn't that a thing? Secondly, where is Medina supposed to put his hand in that situation? Where? What can he do there? I feel like in these kinds of moments, you have to almost put yourself in the position of the footballer and ask yourself, what could he have possibly done to avoid handballing the ball there? It's not in his control. It's not like he purposely put his hand there. That's just how you slide tackle, bro. Your hands are all over the place. Now, if Vinicius Jr. had kicked it and then it goes off his hand, maybe that's different. But he won the ball, and then the ball falls back and hits his hand. What? That's ridiculous, bro. So Madrid, in my opinion, get lucky to get that second penalty. Mbappe scores it, of course. But that, for me, was a sour end to the game because I think Madrid were actually good enough over the 90 minutes to win that game regularly. Like, the XG shows it, right? I think it was something like 4 XG almost. Sorry, 3.65 to 0.73. And I think, 28 shots to 15, 5 big chances to 2. Madrid were the better team, even despite the red card that Carvajal got, by the way, right? Which was extremely foolish for a player of that experience. I think the moment you kind of lean forward and make that headbutting movement, and then even on top of that, make contact, you're always kind of hurting yourself. Now, people will say, oh, Rulli made a huge meal of it. He didn't even hurt him that bad. I don't disagree, but we know the rules of the game. You cannot be making that movement and not expecting to be punished. Carvajal gets red carded. Madrid play the last 20-25 minutes of the game, a man down, and yet they managed to win the game. But that's all that happened in the game. Let's actually talk about it though, right? One thing I'm learning from Xabi Alonso very, very quickly is that this guy is not afraid to make big changes. He is not afraid to drop big names. He is not afraid to try different things. He has coached 5 games this season, and there have been 5 different starting 11s, and yet 5 different wins. So today, the guy who missed out was Vinicius Jr. Rodrigo got the go-ahead. And like I said in my review, Rodrigo was very, very good for Madrid today, especially in that first half. I think in the second half, everyone started to tail off, including him. But in the first half, Rodrigo was up there with their best players. I would say him and Mbappe were excellent. And it almost makes me think, right? Rodrigo is going to spend a lot of time in and out of the starting 11. He is no longer a guaranteed starter like he was under Ancelotti, because under Ancelotti, he was willing to play on the right. Now, whether it's down to him telling Alonso where he wants to play, or Alonso just deciding, no, you are now a full-time left winger, Rodrigo no longer plays on the right. He plays on the left, which means he's going to be sharing game time with Vinicius. That's going to mean some games he starts, some games he comes off the bench. This game, he got the go-ahead. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. Rodrigo played a game today that at a level that I haven't seen Vinicius Jr. play for quite a long time. Vini has not been able to mimic Rodrigo's performance level today in months. I'm talking maybe like January and before. So if Alonso is going to be consistent here, I think Rodrigo should get the next game. If him and Vinicius are going to be rotating on a performance basis, I think the next game, Rodrigo should be playing on the left. That performance today had everything you'd want from a left winger. And I think it shows the difference between Rodrigo and Vinicius. Now, Vinicius is a much more explosive player. He's much more direct. He's probably a bigger goal threat. And when he's on it, I think he's a better player than Rodrigo. But Rodrigo has much more of a calmness to his game. He has much more of a smoothness to his game. I think his associative play in terms of linking up with players is much better. 1v1, he has a different style of beating men, but this is his style. And I think today, that first half was excellent from Rodrigo. Had a few instances. One of them, I think he should have scored. It was a really tame shot at Rulli, but I was really impressed by him. Kylian Mbappe continues to be red hot at the start of the season. Bro, he is so sharp at the moment. His instincts, his quick twitch movements, he looks ridiculous at the moment. Seriously. Right now, he is an early Ballon d'Or favorite, and he probably should have had 3 or 4 goals today. He probably should have. He gets 2. He probably should have grabbed 3 or 4 on a different day. And to complete the trio, it was Franco up front. Franco, I'm going to continue saying it. Incredible talent. He shows it in flashes, right? There's moments where he nutmegs his guy or he beats 2 and then goes through on goal. But then there's also a lot of moments as well, too, with Franco where it's just really frustrating. Taking a touch of his left when he should be taking over his right, trying to dribble a player when he should pass, passing when he should dribble. It's all very, very new for him. And I get it. He's young. He's raw. I don't think he's ready to be starting week in, week out for Madrid. But very, very clearly, there's boatloads of talent in this kid. So I think Madrid are still looking for the balance up front. And I honestly am really interested in seeing how this situation on the right wing kind of goes on the rest of the season, right? Because Franco is a more natural right winger than Rodrigo is, right? The left foot, the way he holds width, the way he's able to cut in and stuff like that. He's a more natural right-sided player. But even despite that, I don't find him to be more effective than Rodrigo out there. The problem is Rodrigo is much more effective on the left. But even saying that, I think Rodrigo on the right still offers you more than Franco at this current moment in each's career. The other option is Brahim Diaz. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think Brahim Diaz is a nice impact player off the bench, but I don't believe he's starting quality for Real Madrid. So it really leaves an interesting dilemma for Real Madrid at the moment. I'm almost interested in seeing once Jude comes back, and we'll talk about Jude in a second, but once he comes back, could we see a return for Real Madrid to the diamond formation that Ancelotti incorporated into the side a few years back, where Jude was at the tip of the diamond, you had Camavinga, you had Kroos, you had Tchouaméni, Fede, a rotation of them behind, and then 2 players up front who could stretch the pitch, who could run in behind, and Rodrigo and Vinicius. Could we see a return to that, where it's Tchouaméni at the base, Camavinga and Fede, or maybe Arda, Jude at the tip, and then Mbappe and one of Vinicius and Rodrigo? Could we maybe see a return to that? I'd be very, very interested. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I almost think with the makeup of the squad right now, that maybe suits everybody the most. I think that gets the most out of Jude. I think Mbappe is going to ball out wherever. It might even get the best out of Vinicius because, guys, I'm watching the way Vinicius is playing at the moment, and it's so volatile, right? Like, his performances are just too volatile. That's the word I want to use. You never really know what you're going to get. It's too hot or cold, right? I feel like everyone has a base performance level. What are you playing like an average game or even like a bad game? What's your base performance level? Not everyone has a great game every game, but your base performance level, what are you giving? I'm going to bring up a name, Bukayo Saka. I don't think Bukayo Saka's peak performance level is as high as Vinicius Jr.'s peak performance level. Like, I think when both of them are at their very best, Vinny's the more dangerous player. Vinny's the better player. But guys, I'm sorry. Both of them, even playing average or below average, Saka is still more careful on the ball. Saka still guarantees you a respectable base level performance. With Vinicius right now, I'm sorry, the base level performance is an absolute mess. It's too sloppy. It's too inconsistent. He's losing the ball a lot. He's even struggling to beat his man at times. Sometimes he'll play out of his skin. And then sometimes you get these performances from Vini and it's like, what? Where has the guy gone that a year ago we were saying this might be the best player in the world? It's startling to kind of see the decline over the last 6 to 8 months because I don't think it's been a case of like, oh, last season, because he started this last season very, very well. But the Vinicius Jr. that we've seen since January, I'm sorry, man, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed whatsoever. And I think we're getting to a point with Alonso as well, too, where clearly he's shown, I'm not afraid to drop you. Keep playing like this, Rodrigo will get his chance. And if Rodrigo plays today, I'm playing him the next game. But honestly, I don't really think the attack is the problem. I think the big issue with Madrid right now is the midfield. Tchouaméni has started the season very, very well, both for France and Real Madrid. And I think when he's fit, he plays at the base. I think he's one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. I'm a huge fan of Tchouaméni. I think it's the 2 next to him that at the moment, I'm a little uncertain about. And again, I rate both of them extremely highly. I love Arda, and I think Fede is so good. But I think Real Madrid are missing so desperately just a natural number 8 or a natural midfielder that can get on the ball, high touches, high volume passes, controls from deep, just keeps the team calm. I don't think Fede or Arda do that, right? Arda, like, he's almost kind of like switching between being a deep lying midfielder at times, then he's popping up in the 10. I feel like he's playing well enough, but also I don't think it's a natural fit in midfield. And I think the goal that they can see today, I'm sorry, a better midfielder will not lose the ball that sloppily in that instance. Maybe I'm nitpicking at Arda here, but honestly, guys, right? I'm gonna just say this. I think a huge part of what will dictate Real Madrid's season this year is Camavinga. If they can keep Camavinga fit, I told Faisal this and he disagreed with me. But I think Camavinga at his best offers you more than Arda in midfield. I think everything Arda is doing right now, I don't see why Camavinga couldn't offer that. On top of being a much better defensive player, he's one of the best tacklers in the world. Carrying the ball forward and dribbling past players, I think Camavinga provides that to a high level. I think Arda's goal threat and his creativity, okay, maybe Camavinga doesn't provide as much. But I think as a natural midfielder in that system, I think when Camavinga comes back, if he plays the way we know he can, I think he'll be starting for Real Madrid. And then, of course, the big one as well too is Jude, who they miss so much in terms of his ball winning, in terms of industries, in terms of his ball carrying, his creativity, his goal scoring. He's the jack of all trades, 8 out of 10 and plus at everything. They definitely missed that because right now, I think the midfield is doing an okay job, but you never really feel like Madrid are bossing the midfield. They're keeping the ball, yeah, but you never feel like they're really bossing the midfield. But like back when they used to have Toni Kroos. Toni Kroos, that run to the Champions League in the 2 years ago. You could tell he was bossing the midfield. He runs the game. I don't feel like anyone is really running the game from midfield right now for Real Madrid. And I do think it is kind of hurt. Like they're playing well enough. They're playing, for me, all right. But I think Madrid have several levels they can continue to go up. And I think the return of Camavinga and Jude Bellingham will definitely ensure that. I think they're good players, Arda and Fede. And I'm sure they can both play as well too when the other two come back. But I think those two could have a huge say in where Madrid's season goes. Outside of that, the other talking point is the right back situation. Trent, man, I really feel for him. I really, really feel for him. Suffering an injury this early into your career of a new club is never a good thing. And I think the fact that Carvajal comes in today and gets sent off almost works in Trent's favor because they always say, right, injuries are the one thing that can really just take you out of the lineup because you can't control injuries, but once you're out, you're giving an opportunity for someone else to take your place, right? Your backup is always praying for an opportunity. And now Carvajal's got an opportunity. I mean, I say an opportunity. He's starting almost every other game. But now you're kind of giving Carvajal an opportunity to snatch that right back position. I don't know how long this hamstring injury will keep Trent out, but let's say it keeps him out for a month and a half, 2 months. If Carvajal balls out in these next 2 months, there's going to be no reason for Trent to come back into the 11. He's going to have to then bide his time to get an opportunity. And Carvajal's fully capable of claiming that position as his own and keeping it for the foreseeable future, or at least for the season. He's capable of doing that. He's a top-class right back. So I really feel for Trent because I think Trent is an unbelievable player, and I'm rooting for him at Real Madrid. But these kinds of injuries, they don't help anybody, I mean, but his competition, to be honest with you. But Carvajal, man, I'm disappointed today because, seriously, right, to get a red card in that manner, I feel it's so foolish for a player of his experience. However, Madrid get the win today. I think, look, despite the penalty, which I think is never, ever, ever a penalty in a million years, I still think Madrid were good for their win, right? Like, I saw some people in my chat, I was live streaming the game, of course, today, saying, oh, if they play like this against Liverpool or something, they're going to get destroyed. I don't think they would. They created enough chances today to beat most teams. They just have to be a bit more clinical or have to hope that the goalkeeper they come up against doesn't turn into Neuer. Rulli today played out of his skin. And speaking of Marseille, by the way, for those of you guys who might not know, Marseille are famous at the moment, or infamous rather, for being a team that cannot do it in Europe. They have not qualified out of the Champions League first phase, whether it's the group stage or the table, since 2012. It's been over 10 years that Marseille played a knockout game in the Champions League. And it's not because they're not good, right? Like, they finished second in the league at times. They finished third. They're a competitive team in Liga. Oftentimes, they're the best of the rest, right? Outside of PSG. But when it comes to the Champions League, there is a curse on the city of Marseille. They cannot advance past the first phase. So this year, there's a huge opportunity for them to do it because we know how the league phase now has completely affected European football. And I have to say, Marseille impressed me today. They really, really impressed me. I think there were periods of that game where they really went toe-to-toe with Madrid, especially in midfield. I think they created a decent amount of chances. I think they looked quite good building out from the back, even though there were a few times where Rulli got caught on the ball. But overall, I think Marseille can be very, very impressed with their performances, right? I thought Greenwood was very dangerous on the right, even though Alvaro really had a good game as well, too. I think Kondogbia absolutely bossed it at times. He looked really, really good. Defensively, they were solid. Aubameyang, I wasn't too impressed with his performance today, but the one who really shone was Timothy Weah on the left. I know he scored his goal, but just outside of that, the first half, this guy was moving electric. He was moving absolutely ridiculous, and it almost makes you wonder, Why were Juve playing him as a wing back? This guy out wide is a problem. So Marseille, I think they should be a team this year that do progress out of the top 24. But I think the thing with Marseille, as someone who watches a lot of French football and keeps up a lot with French football, they're a very volatile club. I think volatile is the word of the day for this video. They are a very volatile football club, right? Things can explode just like that, especially when you have De Zerbi, especially when you have some of the characters in this Marseille squad. I mean, just earlier in the season, it took them, 2 games for Rabiot and the other guy, Rowe, to basically clash both of them out the club. They already got in a fist fight. This is a volatile football club. It's a very emotional football club, both in their fan base, players, coach, culture. So I think Marseille, they have to hope. They just take the positives out of this result, because there are positives, right? They outpossessed Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. I know possession doesn't mean everything, but that's impressive. They had a decent amount of chances to score goals. They played a decent game. I think they can be proud of themselves. The question for them now is, how do they take that into the next game and throughout this tournament and make a run at it? Because you look at Lille last year, Lille managed to finish in the top 8. I don't think anyone would have predicted that. Can Marseille do something similar in the Champions League this season? Time will tell. That's all that remains. We'll see how they do. But Real Madrid, look, they keep steaming around, right? It's similar to Liverpool, who haven't played that well in the Premier League. Liverpool have 4 wins out of 4. Real Madrid, I don't think, have lit the world up yet either in any competition, but they have 5 wins from 5. At this point, that's all you can ask for. And when you have someone playing at the level Kylian Mbappe is right now, and trust me, I am noticing, because you guys know I said Kylian Mbappe is under more pressure to deliver this season than any player in Europe in my eyes. I'm loving the way he started the season. He looks hungry. He looks sharp. He looks on top of it. His instincts, his movement is so good. He's linking up with others. It looks like the Kylian Mbappe of a few seasons back. I want to see that continue, because if it does, boy, this is a potential Ballon d'Or winner. And for Real Madrid, seasons like last year can't happen again. This competition is their bread and butter. They have to go back into this competition and make a bang, a real statement. I guess is the way to do it. First game, first win. Dubious circumstances, but we move. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys thought about the game down below. Who was your man of the match? Was that a penalty? And how far can both of these sides go in this competition? I want to see your thoughts. I want to see your opinions. Let it all out in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you to every single person who tuned into the watch along today. I'm streaming most of these games, guys. So when there's a game, go check out my YouTube channel. You might see me live. Come hang out. We chill. We have fun in there. And yeah, it's a good time, man. So without that being said, I will see you guys very soon. Peace.